here we are again in another thrilling tale of the adventures of the Kobolds. Last time, for the Kobolds, um, there was quite a lot of going back and forth between the not unexplored places in the city of Ythryn. Now that you had acquired all 8 pieces of the arcane octad ritual, first you had visited the theater and found a rather delightful spirit by the name of Edgardio, who had completed his life's work by filling out the last pieces of his unfinished play, to which he ascended, and you were given some inspiration and some lovely gifts. He then ventured over to the menagerie, in which you discovered some fun little different creatures that were once prominent throughout the city of Ythryn, as well as finding and creating a new friend in the form of Trickle, a rat mixed in with a fish with all different manner of iridescent scales, fins, catfish-like whiskers, and quite adorable. You've got a little fishbowl with him and carrying around with you as you speak. You had then ventured towards the Hall of Silk and all got yourself some nice some nice new outfits, to which you are now walking around purely in style. Villain also took part in this as well and got herself a nice, simple plain robe with an addition of several colored sashes that each resemble a color of each of your scales. To which, after you had received your new attire, you then ventured towards the giant hole near the Tower of Divination, which you had learned at one point was a wellspring, which could possibly give some untold knowledge. But that is where we had left off last time. So, as you make your way over there, there is, I believe, Velen's fly spell might still be in effect. It's like teetering on the edge here, so you would have just enough time for this particular spell slot for you to make it over that which way. So let me move you over here. If I can actually do so. The game is having a little bit of problems loading on the other laptop here, so give me a second. Why must you do this to me, Rototi? Okay, so you are currently Gigahawks at the moment. Actually, no, Gigahawks would be over by now. But you could still carry mostly everybody.
I mean, it would be... How many uses do I still have of that? I've still got plenty of uses of it left. I've got 6 uses left. Yeah, I'll just use another use. Bam.
Another
Gigahawks
use?
continues.
Alright, Gigahawks continues then. Alright, perfect. In that case, Gigahawks continues and you make your way over that direction. So, let me change the scenery. So, it is a very large hole that you are not... you could be hovering over at this point. But you are now nearing this hole. It is a very, very deep well that plunges, assumedly, deep through the city floor into pure darkness. Despite their appearances, these are not, in fact, frozen gelatinous cubes. What may seem like ice is, in fact, pure crystal. 5 crystal benches encircle this hole, glinting what appears to be purple glow of nearby street lamps. Yeah, so, as you touch down, the wellspring itself seems to have these, what looks to be draconic runes, scratched all throughout the circumference of this well. And you will, as you actually see this first, Hawks, because you're flying over. You would read that this draconic around the circumference of the well would read, "Herein lie the immortal remains of the telepathic pentacle. Sit, meditate, and learn."
Oh. What?
It would read.
Pentacle?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Pentacle?
Yes, the telepathic pentacle.
Pentacle's like an object, though, right?
Yeah. Get it. A shape. A telepathic shape.
I thought we were dealing with octograms.
No, that's octad. I don't believe this is the same thing. Villain will chime in.
Okay.
Not a bad theory, though. I do appreciate inquiring minds.
And that text is this text around the circle?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
You can easily read it as you're walking around. You gather that it's meant to be a sort of meditative, like ritual, like walking around the circumference of the well,
Right.
and then reading it bit by bit as you're walking around.
Right.
It's just much easier to do when you're flying above it.
Definitely. It's a deep hole.
Very deep. You're looking down. You cannot see the bottom, even with your 120 feet of dark vision. It is that far down.
Interesting. Well, we got anyone know what this is?
I don't know. Maybe if we just sit and meditate, it'll answer us.
Maybe. Makes sense.
Let me just take one of these, just make a good seat right here, this big crystal.
Actually, wait. I might have. Actually, no. Remind me. How far is your dark vision? My apologies. Remind me. Like, what does it say in your visual feature?
Dark vision.
I might be thinking of Drow.
I believe all of the standard, no, I think they're 120 for, Volos Kobolds, but Hawks would be 60.
Hawks would be 60. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me double check just to be sure. I think you might be right though. Double checking. Okay, so you're a Veloz Kobold Meepo?
Yeah, as far as I know.
Okay,
So
so it is
60?
I just
So it is 60
copied
feet. Okay.
something wrong.
So with your 60 feet, you cannot see down to the bottom. There's a point stipulation. You had said something, Hawks. What did you say earlier?
Oh, just that he was taking a seat on one of these crystal blocks.
Okay. You feel a slight euphoric buzz in the back of your head, as if you feel as if it's a good thing to be sitting here. Almost feels like you don't want to get up, but you can. There's no compulsion for you to stay here, but you feel as if it feels right, and you feel that as you continue to sit there, that kind of euphoric buzz kind of grows larger. You feel it's like a state of elation almost.
I'm feeling very enlightened right now.
All right, do you continue to sit?
Yes.
Okay.
Ooh, I'm feeling it too.
Yes. You feel as if something is beyond your grasp at the moment. You feel as if your mind is too unfocused. You feel as if you concentrate, something may occur. You just merely need to focus in on it. You feel as if something is within your grasp. You just need to focus. But as you are, you cannot reach
Cast a
it.
spell.
What do you cast?
No, I said like casting a spell.
Like casting a spell, in a way, yes.
Ooh, I know what I could do. Let's see if I have.
Oh, wait, I hope Jules being disrespectful. I mean, no.
I don't have it prepared, so I can't do it.
Fair enough. In that case,
It's a ritual too. Too bad.
Gotcha. In that case, though, for those who are sitting on the benches, would you like to concentrate on whatever this may be?
Yes.
Indeed. Got to get my focus on, you know?
Yeah, not to mention as well, you are fully meditating on these benches, just completely decked out in your new fashion. So not only are you sitting there, you're doing so in style.
Excellent.
The villain will also attempt this concentration. As you sit there meditating, you feel as if the chasmous hole in front of you begins to widen, almost like a massive jaw, unhinging itself. And as you peer down into the chasm below, but wait, you're sitting away from the chasm. You shouldn't be able to just look right into it, it's too far, but it's as if the hole of the well is almost swallowing you whole. And as you concentrate further, you feel as if your very mind and essence is being pulled towards the center. And I would like each of you to make an insight check for me, as you try and discern the secrets within the well.
I have advantage on those.
What?
This one of my first runes actually gives me
funny.
advantage from that.
Wow, Meepo, you have expertise and insight. Oh my gosh.
Uh-huh. I do.
That's amazing.
Oh, I actually do have 120-foot dark vision, because even though racial dark vision is 60 feet, my stone runes also provides dark vision out to 120 feet.
I have a plus.
I had forgotten
plus
about that.
14.
Okay.
Terrifying.
Plus 14.
Very good, very good. Okay. So in that case, as you're concentrating on this hole, let me start rolling some things. Let's see. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. You said you rolled an 8, so that's an 18 insight for Sinnock?
Yes.
Okay. So 1, 2, 3. 1. 1, 2, 3. Just take a little look see at something here. So, Hawks, as you're concentrating on whatever knowledge you are attempting to glean here, you see a gray shifting mass because of your dark vision, and then the little light piercing through there. A gray amorphous shape shifting and undulating at the very bottom of the well. You see these strange lines that are moving as well, almost as if they're closed orifices of some kind. Because they're closed, you can't tell their exact purpose quite. But it is whatever is down there. The very sight of it shakes you out of your meditation, but not before. You glean something. You gain a vision. You see before you as the image of this gray amorphous shape winks out of existence. A great light, almost blindingly bright, like a miniature sun. A great fiery ball of orange and red, held aloft by several small spires. The sun, perhaps no bigger than, I would say, an elephant, is being tapped into its massive power by several figures, some of which you recognize as the apprentices of the Ebon Star, the apprentices of Areolarthus. All of them are concentrating on this object. And as they do, you'll see an image of Areolarthus gazing out upon the city. And as all the mages raise their hands, while gazing at this object, this artifact, which you actually might have seen before, you recognize that light being in the very center of the city, behind a wall of a barrier of arcane force, at the very base of the central spire in Yithrin. You watch as Areolarthus looks out into the city and raises his own hand, as the others do, and the city itself raises into the sky by the power of this artifact. And you recognize what it is now. Velen had made mention of it sparingly, once or twice. This object is known as the Mythalar, the very object that gave the city its ability to fly. And as you fade from that vision, you meet Bo. Let me see here. I'm actually going to re-roll yours separately because you already know this information. Okay, this is something you don't know. As you gaze into the abyss, Meepo, you see a line of strange jars and vials, all with different body parts inside of them. This veritable scientific laboratory is full of life and death. You see a mage currently being strapped to a table. They are clearly dead. You see the shape of a woman in flowing robes, very but plain, hair tightly wound in a bun, currently administering something to the cranium. It seems she's performing some sort of surgery to remove the brain of this dead mage. And as she removes it, she places it into a cylindrical, domed jar, which is filled with this briny, bubbling yellow liquid. Even though you cannot smell in this vision, just by looking at it, you can tell it's some sort of preservative, just by the consistency of it and the thickness. She drops the brain inside, and you see there are other brains alongside it as well. And as the brain is plopped inside, she does some sort of incantation, and there is a bit of a stirring, a transference of energy and life between the body, the brain, and the jar. And the brain inside the jar throbs and twitches in a mockery of life. And then your vision ends. For you, Skanok, I'll have to re-roll yours as well. Okay.
Ooh, goody.
Yes. Okay. In your vision, Skanok, actually you had to re-roll a couple times now, you've pretty much gathered a good majority of lore from the city, but this is one you have not found yet. You see a line of almost noble-like mages. They are gathering all sorts of finery on their persons, and they are all looking smug and satisfied with themselves, laughing cordially amongst each other, and they're heading to a location in the city that you had seen before, but had not been in sight yet. What appears to be a greatly domed building, almost not dissimilar from the library. It has a large glass dome. As they head inside this building, the vision itself changes, and you see all these different mages all in some sort of meditation. And as they do, all of them begin to laugh as all their bodies become weightless. And they all frolic and jump just with seemingly pure delight as they go through this weightless hall of wonder. You see visions as well of Areolathus looking down upon these individuals with a little bit of a sneer. He seems to be whispering something to someone close to him. But then after that, though, the vision seems to fade.
Seems interesting.
Velen? That tracks. Okay, Velen will have her own vision. And with that, though, you all return back to your senses. None the worse for wear.
That was kind of weird.
Ah.
Pardon me.
Did I recognize the room that we were looking at?
For you, no. This is a room you had not seen before. Although I will say there was what appeared to be a window looking to the outside. It appeared to have been extremely high up in the city, which is strange.
Okay,
It
so
seems
it's
like
probably in the central tower.
it seems like it's from the central tower, which is also odd because you didn't see any obvious-looking entry like windows in the spire that were accessible. Perhaps it's some
Windows
sort
only
of
look out.
one-way glass, perhaps? Difficult to say. Yeah, so you assume inside the central spire. That's your assumption, because of how high up it was.
Well, somebody was putting brains in a jar. Was unpleasant.
Apparently there's like a room that makes you float around as well. Sorry, I read nothing.
Yeah, Velen will step out of her trance as well. Go ahead. What are you going to say, Hawks?
Mostly, huh?
Because she kind of rubs her brows. Well, just more confirmation, I suppose. The Wizards of Yithrin are on a mission to find relics and ruins of Astoria, the 40,000-year-old empire of the giants. It's also where they had found what they had called the spindle. That artifact they had found.
I know about the spindle. It's bad news.
Yes. From what we've
that
learned, yes, it is what,
The
in
obelisk
fact...
thing that I was...
No, the obelisk is different, it seems.
Also bad news.
Two different forms of bad news, all wrapped up in a tight little bundle that is this carcass of a city.
Spindle.
I wonder why it fell.
Well, actually, funny story. It basically got shaken apart by the spindle itself, which apparently nullifies magic. So let's not activate it.
Yeah, that sounds
Good
bad.
plan.
Did I not mention that before?
Maybe you did. I'm just saying it kind of seems inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
What did you see, Scanuck?
Well, you know that big domed building on a bunch of spires? Apparently, if you go in there, you can activate. There's a sort of thing, and you can sort of float around in there, like there's no gravity. And rich people look like they were having fun with it. the lich guy seemed like he was kind of looking down on him for it.
And Hawks, what'd you see?
The Mythalar. The thing that makes the city float.
Oh,
You did. So it is in the center of the city, as we had seen.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of guys raising their hands up and being like, "Go, do the thing," and
Interesting.
then the city flew.
From your description, then, it seems like it needs people who of a spell-casting nature, then, to activate it. Not too much trouble, then.
It seems like there was a bunch of wizards, and they, I guess, activated it, but there wasn't any control over it until the big boss did his thing, too.
I see. So then perhaps it requires... Oh, that's interesting, then. That means it's an item that requires multiple people to attune to it, then. Interesting.
it would explain why it took, why it's difficult to do, I should say.
You'll see Villain suddenly appear in deep thought. Professor Scant will pipe up. That is quite curious. Why, Villain, if that is the case, then I'd say a good majority of our group have the ability to cast spells in some manner. Do you think it's possible? I think so, Professor. If the Mythala has not been destroyed, or is not inactive, there may be a chance that we can still use it. My friends, it may be in fact possible that the city might yet see the sky again.
Hold on. I know you're a big fan of this stuff and everything, but let me reiterate. Findle, Obelisk, Tarask,
Well, wasn't the
Yes.
Demilich,
Yes. These are all consents.
Angry Gods.
Yes.
well,
Let's
hang on,
not
now,
do
wasn't
that yet.
Wasn't the obelisk something else?
The obelisk was, yes.
Something that-
I'm just reiterating all the bad things that we'd be bringing up with us.
Yes, from
Rude.
if you recall from our previous visions, it has been some time. We have learned a lot of information from the city.
The city's also cursed. Like we can't even stay here for very long
There
without...
is that, yes. I wonder if there's some way to reverse it. But I'm not sure what that is. In either case, though...
What if
Go ahead.
What if instead we stole the Mythalar and put it in something else?
That sounds like a better idea.
The Mythalar is quite a large object. It would be quite a task to. Might not be impossible, but it would prove quite a challenge. But then again, she looks at you, Hawks. Perhaps not as impossible as we think. That said, though, to refresh our memory on the obelisk, you said that you had a vision before, correct, Meepo, of the obelisk?
Yeah.
Do you remember what the vision entailed? Did it give any specifics about the nature of the obelisk, or just that it was of great danger that made the gods afraid?
I would say that more towards that side of things. There might have been a little bit of specifics, but I don't think they were all that important in that. As long as I know it's something that the gods don't want around, we ought to not do anything with it unless it's to destroy it, which I don't know if we can.
Well, from what we had learned about the obelisk, that's not much of a surprise. From what we had learned previously, the obelisk either has or had the ability as a checkpoint to go back in time to a specified point in time. But since the obelisk is damaged, it's curious as to what would happen if it was activated. Well, that is the purpose of the obelisk. And if the gods are afraid of that, we should perhaps be afraid as well.
Does it take the whole city with it, or just the people who activated it, or something else?
That's what we're still unsure of. From the book that we had acquired, there are many different theories as to what might happen. But
You'd think the pit of knowledge would tell us something like that. Yoo-hoo!
perhaps we could try again.
Any answers?
Your voice echoes in the deepness of the well. There's no response for you. But to you, Hawks, now that you're getting a clearer look at the inside of the well, you hadn't seen it before. You were more focusing on the draconic script and the general appearance of everything around it. But now that you can get a clearer look inside, it seems that what was in the vision is truly down there. That gray shifting mass is down there, far below, 100 feet down.
Oh, thanks for the visions, big guy. Is there any chance we can ask a few more questions or get a couple more of those, little bits of insight?
There is no response. But you see the mass shift slightly.
There's somebody down there?
I mean, somebody. Sort of. There's a big thing. It's definitely alive.
Is it perhaps the telepathic pentacle that the script mentioned?
I would assume so. But he doesn't look much like a pentacle to me.
What does he look like?
A big gray mass of flesh.
Oh, ew. I see.
He's got, mouths or eyes or something that he hasn't opened yet. So he might be resting.
But perhaps if he hasn't been angry yet by 4 individuals trying to glean knowledge, what's the harm in one more?
Muerte?
Marty will look back at you. Are you asking me to do something extremely boring? Sorry, boring. It's got something stuck in my beak.
You just have to sit on the bench and think about what might be at the bottom of it.
Her eyes roll back in her head. If you insist, I will do so. Is that truly the question that you want to ask, or is the question something else?
Oh, right. We wanted to ask about what's in the spire or the obelisk.
The obelisk. I am listening, even though I don't appear to be. Very well. I will go to this one over here. Now, Merte will begin to meditate. Scales as well at the mention of the of whatever's beyond there. Just kind of takes a few steps back over this way. Not jiving with whatever's down there. Merte, though, will attempt to make an insight check after meditating. Let's see here. Oh. Well. You will see that her sort of head begin to twitch a little bit. And her eyes will open slightly, and they're rolled back in their head. As they kind of they stop, kind of shake their head. Whew. There is good news. I seem to have some sort of insight into... But before she can finish her sentence, Hawks, you look down into the well. You suddenly see the mass down there. Open. Its many eyes and many mouths.
I didn't know they were mouths, too.
All shifting, morphing, like slime, folding into themselves hundreds, dozens of times, over and over again. Sharp serrated jaws, mouths, teeth, all folding in and folding out. And you will see this creature slowly advancing from within. It has 5 different orifices that now extend outward from this central mass. 5 serpent-like heads, all with human-like faces, with the eyes and mouths all distorting in completely wrong places. And it is now climbing from the bottom of the pit.
I mean, we'll leave you alone if you want to get more rest. We're not, you know, if this is too much inquiry for you, that's, you know.
That is the only response that you receive, as it continues to climb up the sides of the walls of this well. Slowly, but surely, it continues to schlop its way up.
Well, should we be ready for a fight then, I guess?
I think so. This is the second time that I've wished I had that spell.
There's a part of me that wants to try something really dumb.
Mm-hmm.
So he's climbing his way up.
Yes, right now, he seems to be about 30 feet, no, 60 feet away from the surface.
Okay, well, if he's 60 feet away from me... no, I would have to do that within 30 feet of me. How far does he climb in about a turn?
One term seems to go about 30 feet.
Okay, so I'll attempt this at the end of his next turn then.
Okay, so he gets about right up to 30 feet away from the top.
Yep, and then I'm going to attempt to use my stone rune to repacify him. So, wisdom saving throw.
Wisdom save. Okie dokie. Let's see here. That is going to be... Okay. This is going to be a straight D10 20. Well, no need for me to just... That's going to be a 9.
Alright, so unless he's immune to charm, he is charmed by me for 1 minute, has a speed of 0, and is incapacitated, which probably means that he can't climb.
Oh, gosh.
The question is he immune to charm?
You watch as the creature's head slowly contract back into the central mass as it is a horrible squeaking sound erupts from its body as it slides slowly back down like a wad of goo trailing down a wall.
Okay, good night. So let's leave and not anger it again.
This is good news because I have the information, or more information for what you were looking for. It is not fruitless.
Oh,
Well, that's
okay.
good.
Yes, it appears that I just made whatever was angry by me venturing in. You hear a tiny squeak inside the bowl, Meepo. Meep. As Trickle will emerge and just kind of shake its tiny little rat fist at whatever was down there.
Blimey.
So let's get out of here for the time being. I don't know if that'll like repacify it completely or not, but
I'm gonna take a moment to like scoop some of these crystal fragments into my bag, and then we can leave.
Sure. Let's see here. Hang on.
I love the stone rune.
It's pretty good. You gain six crystal fragments, I'll say.
Excellent.
Let me see.
Size
Put in parentheses Yithrin, so I'll have like a better idea of what it could be from.
Yithrin knowledge pit.
Yeah, or something.
Or well. Yithrin well. It is he.
Alright, we get everyone together here. With that,
Gibbering Malder.
Yes, it was
Yes.
pacified and we're leaving.
it seemed to have some strange different properties as well. As it had 5 serpentine-like heads, like detaching from the central body, and about to strike Hawks before he used the stone rune, as it squeaked, slithered all the way back down.
So you missed us having some visions from sitting on these little crystal benches, and then after we had those visions, we tried to push our luck and had Muerte sit on it and try to get another vision, and that woke the gibbering mouther up. And then Hawks used his stone room to charm it, and now we're leaving while it's charmed.
Fun.
Things we learned. We might be able to make the city fly. There's a room that has 0 gravity. There's a room with brain jars, and the people who started the city were researching the ancient giant ruins and trying to get stuff from them.
Okay.
As well, there was as well mention of the Mythalar, the large, almost sun-like artifact dwelling within the central bottom spire of the city, which was used to lift the city into the sky. And
Right.
Villain...
Sorry.
Yeah, no,
I
don't
forgot
worry.
to mention that when I said that that's how we're going to make the city fly if we wanted to, but I suggested we shouldn't.
Right, Meebo counseled against it, while Villain and Skanuk are like, no, let's do it. On the side. But with that, though, Muerte was about to reveal something that she had gleaned as well, despite anchoring what was in the bottom of the well. I did have a vision of the obelisk. A bunch of mages gathering around it. I could hear the remnants of conversation. The goal of this obelisk is that, well, what I learned is that it was not an original copy of what it was trying to represent. Is apparently this obelisk is a copy of an artifact that is found throughout all of the realms. It is not an original. So not only is it possible it might be faulty that way, but it is also damaged. From what was being spoken, not just the user would go back in time, but also perhaps reach the entire city as well. But there was discussion that if the obelisk was somehow damaged, it might alter things in a grand scope. Not only would the city go back in time, but the world would as well.
Oh. Like everybody living?
Everything that we have done, everything that we have seen, all the friends that we've made, would vanish as if they had never existed. And would go back to the point in time that the mages had ordained. We must make it a priority to make sure that it does not happen.
Yeah, that sounds too bad.
How about I use something here to try to make sure that doesn't happen?
What did you have in mind?
I'm gonna ask Eldath.
Okay. And how are you going to ask her? Okay. What is your intent with this divine intervention?
I'm hoping Eldath could help us destroy that artifact.
I would let you know right now, if it could have been destroyed, it's most likely the gods would have already attempted so, other besides sealing it away.
I suppose that makes sense, yeah.
Well, then reset it to the current time.
An interesting proposal. Roll your intervention dice.
The D100, right?
D100. And roll below at or below your class level.
Nope.
Unfortunate. You can feel Eldath hears your plea. But you feel as if she is unable, even she is unable to do this task for you. But know this, that she is always behind you and will help you in whatever you try and accomplish. She is with you. So, then we'll kind of step forward. There are a few other places that we have not been in the city, and, of course, as another reassurance, because we have vandalized the specific passages of the Octad in the towers, we can move at our leisure without, hopefully, Avarice gaining any sort of ground against us, which at this point I don't believe she will. So, if we look back at where we've been, I'll move back to the world map. Well, we saw what lies within the wellspring. We've done that. We still haven't been to this area down here that looked to be almost like a prison compound of some kind. As a refresher, this area right here, this central spire, this almost serpentine-like neck connecting the tower to the ground, the central district right here, appears to be the one entrance into the spire. But I'm thinking as well, I saw a similar barrier force around the entrance that was also next to the central part down here as well. It might be a similar magic. I'm wondering if the Arcane Octad might allow us to go to either one. That said, there's no guarantee that this down here will lead up to up here. For what I'm seeing as well, we also have not been to this area down here, that the building that almost looks like a pair of bagpipes from the center of the city. Definitely looks festive in nature, or at one point was. There's also, he points down that way, and you can see it as well, Skanuk. You recognize that from your vision. That is the hall that you had seen the nobles gallivanting in weightless wonder.
Yes, okay. I believe it to be you guys.
As will I. Should we continue wandering about this city? Or should we go to what we assume to be one of the entrances to the spire? You kind of look at each one of you.
I would think we would go to one of the entrances.
Indeed. If that's the case, should we head to the central bottom point of the spire, or should we head to this entryway over here? What I can see, the mythobar seems to be in this part down here, from the massive glow that you can see emanating from it.
So it's either this spot or this spot?
Yeah, either that spot or this spot. This spot down here appears to be the prison complex down there.
Ah.
Yeah, that's what the orange circle is. Otherwise, the you know what? For the sake of this, let me get another circle here. This part down here. Let me do that for both of those actually. So you can either go here, this circle, or down here, this circle, most likely. It's like likely entrances to this spire.
Let's see.
Let me roll something actually while we're waiting here. Okay. Yeah, Villain will kind of stroke her chin. It is a lot to take in, I know. Seems like we have many options. We have quite a few options on what to do next. Meepo, what are your thoughts?
I don't really have any opinions.
On which entryway to take?
Nope.
Very well. Skanak, what do you think?
Well, let's see. I'm a little bit curious about this hall of whatever this thing is. This hall over here. But we can always look at that afterwards.
True. What about you, Scales?
I've never been too keen on entering a location through the front door if I don't have to.
True.
I was thinking the exact opposite, but anyway.
And to be fair, though, we don't know if that secondary entrance leads to the top or not. We just know that it connects to the bottom of the spire. But it is a possibility. The problem is we don't know. That's the thing.
Well, the one that's pulsating energy is a lot less welcoming than the long climb up, personally.
That is also true. And what of you, Hawks?
Well, honestly, at this point, I have no opinions on the matter.
Truthfully?
Well, I mean, yeah.
I see. Villain will kind of scratch your head a little bit.
Okay, hang on. Hang on.
Is that
Oh, yeah? What's
is
that?
that surprising?
Well, not... Now that I think about it, no. Perhaps I was expecting a decision. But... you, Skanak, you had an idea.
Okay, so we had a long rest. We took a rest recently, but have had some doing since then. So how about we scope out this place, and maybe this place, and then we hit the tower after a rest.
That sounds like a good idea. I like that plan.
Mhm.
I don't think we should go up there without our full force.
Indeed. Since we're going to... well, explore a little bit longer, she kind of touches your back again, Hawks. Let's re-up this little blessing of mine. She kind of snaps her fingers and mutters some more words, and the fly spell is recasted on you. I can't really do that much more today, though.
Okay, we'll go to these other places. They're within walking distance of each other, and we'll just need one more to fly back to the bridge to rest outside of the city.
So should Yes, that should be fine then.
So just hold on to one more and we'll be good.
She kind of nods. If I'm missing one, I'll try and upcast it if I need to.
Okay, everybody hop on. Hawks and away.
I'm just imagining, like, even though there's no airplanes, you're just making, like, like sounds, like, as you're flying along.
Hovering bird noises.
You're just, like, like whistling wind, like, whistling noises. Oh,
Or dragon noises.
or dragon
probably.
noises, even, maybe. Who knows? It's up to Hawks.
Deposing.
T-posing. Alright, so for my assumption, you're going to this hall down here first, correct? This bagpipe-looking building?
Yes.
Okay. In that case... Maybe...
If that's not a giant pipe organ, I will be very disappointed in this adventure.
Well, from what you can see... Double check here. I seem to have missed that, though. It seems that I've labeled that page wrong. I felt I was so prepared, but in fact I was not prepared. Where is it, actually? One moment as I'm searching for it. I should have been on the right page then. Why was that incorrect? Ah, okay, I was in fact on the right page. I just couldn't read.
DM's the greatest foe of DMing.
Reading. See, it's one thing to look, but reading comprehension, that's its own thing. So interestingly enough, the base of this building almost resembles a boot, but it is capped with 3 pipes that seem to resemble the arteries of a titanic heart. But you could imagine that it looks bagpipe-shaped if you tilted your head a little bit and squinted your eyes. You will see, though, tall doors, very much almost like a very gothic cathedral-like doors that Hawks could very easily walk into, actually, without squeezing. Yeah. And as you make your way inside, before you
Watch
go...
out for mimics.
Indeed. You will see old posters are plastered to the outer walls of this place. This does in fact appear to have at one point been a music hall. And the one closest to the entrance, you will see a grand looking group, all with like very Salvador Dali-esque mustaches, and all giving like a very like, not to ruin the magic, but they're very much giving like that DreamWorks style eyebrow raise. You know the one I'm talking about?
Ah, yes, of course.
Yeah, like the really big eyebrow raise and like the really smug look. All like there's just this row of people just all having that same look. And the text on the poster will read, "Experience the Netherese Esoteric Orchestra's masterwork, The Dark Between the Stars."
Oh, that sounds spooky.
Yeah, Scales, go ahead and make a history check for me. And you have advantage on this check. A 9. You don't know it, but you feel in your heart, you've heard that somewhere before. Almost like an illusory rhythm, like a phantom beat just entering your mind, but you can't quite grasp it. But as you enter, this grand hall is extremely dark. Very little light enters this place. It is a glitter with ice, though, as Valen kind of brings out Professor Scanton, as well as a little bit of a light source as well of her own. The floor is strewn with crystal shards of long since fallen chandeliers, and as you gaze upon this expansive hall, you see the frozen corpses of its last audience lying strewn among the tiered seats, all of their expressions frozen in rapturous adulation. As you gaze upon the stage, you will see cadaverous musicians slumped over shattered instruments. It almost seems as you're looking at this place, there was, perhaps in the final moments of Ythrin's fall, one final performance. Perhaps as a send-off, a farewell, one last hurrah, who can say? There is one thing that you notice, Scales. As you all approach, you will notice, Scales, that there is a conductor's baton resting on a lectern at the front of the stage. The body of the conductor, whoever that may be, is nowhere to be found.
Can I pick it up?
You can. And as you do, the hall echoes with instruments all making just the slightest noise, as if all of them appear to be awakening in some way. And then the sounds of instruments being tuned. And all of you will now see the bodies of the musicians slightly twitch. But they don't get up. Instead, you will see a slight glow emanating throughout the theater, and the spectral forms of the musicians exit out from their corpses, almost like butterflies emerging from cocoons, all one by one, approaching the stage, with spectral instruments in hand. One by one, they single file, they march upon the stage, and gaze outward towards the rest of the theater, as if waiting. What do you do, Scales?
Well, that's not this.
I'll go along to the tune of the baton.
Okay. There is no noise that you can hear, but you look down at the baton and you give it a flick, and you hear a as the instruments, they test themselves a little bit more as you give a few experimental flicks. A warm-up, if you will. And all the gaze of the musicians firmly plant themselves on you. No emotion is on their face, just an eagerness, a hopefulness. All eyes are on you, Scales. Go ahead and make for me a charisma performance check.
You said performance checks?
Performance, yes. (24) as you flick your hand, it almost comes naturally to you. I will ask you, Scales, have you ever used a conductor's baton before in your life?
Absolutely not.
No. You have never done this before. And yet, it feels completely natural to you. The music seems to go as you do. With each hand, it's as if you control the very nature of the music itself, with just a flick of your wrist. And it all comes harmoniously. Not a single instrument is out of tune. As they begin to play a somber melody, the light begins to brighten from all sources, from the one that specifically Villain's carrying, as if the room itself is brightening just from the nature of the music itself. And you watch in the audience hall. There are no corpses that you can see. Instead, it's as if the very life itself has been restored to this building. You see an audience waiting patiently, enraptured by the music, all of them holding their hands clasped, all staring, their eyes now on you as well. Hundreds, thousands of eyes, all waiting. Make another performance check for me, please. $30. All of you suddenly feel a terrible lurch. And a terrible, sickening feeling in your gut, as if you're experiencing a great fall. The audience looks up towards the sky. So do the musicians. You can see spectral beads of sweat forming at all of their faces, as if they know what is about to happen. But they continue to gaze upon you, Scales. The music is the only thing that matters right now, and the show must go on. I would need you to make another performance check for me. 23. The music begins to build upward, and upward, and upward, until finally, it brings itself to a somber yet satisfying conclusion. And suddenly, all is silent once more. Until you hear it. An uproarious applause, not unlike the one you had heard in Edgardio's theater. But this is less so more than of a spectacle. This is purely one of relief, of joy, of release. As you feel just an immense aura of satisfaction and gratitude as all the spirits begin to reach for their pockets, specifically the audience. And you watch, Scales, as these black roses all fall down upon you, and the musicians as well. And the musicians all gaze at you, Scales, and give you a deep, polite bow of thanks. And eventually their spirits begin to fade as well. So, Scales, you already have a point of inspiration to my knowledge. Should you use up that point of inspiration, I will let you gain another point. So, Keith.
I think I used the point of inspiration on the fight against the hags already.
Did you?
Yes.
In that case, you gain another point then.
I thought we gained a point after that.
That's what I thought too.
Because I have a point of inspiration, and I think I got that after the hacks.
Well, either way, even if you had used it already, go ahead and put in that you have one.
Right, yeah.
And the inspiration is as advantage on.
Yes, advantage on any check that you roll, or, as we learned, you can use it on someone else's roll as well, if you wish and they wish.
Okay.
But you are now, all of you, sitting in the empty music hall. It seems whatever spirits were here are now laid to rest.
Well, that was beautiful, Scales.
I don't know what that was.
Well, you did good at
Magic.
whatever it was.
Well, thanks. I think I'll just leave this here as I set down the baton.
Right? You will set it down, and as you do so, the baton vanishes as well.
Okay.
So, Villain will kind of say after a while, she kind of tugs on her collar a little bit. You almost swear that you saw a tear in her eye. She, clears her throat a little bit. I think we should move on.
You think, you think they know where we are?
I'm not sure. We'll have to keep a close eye when we leave. I assume you're talking about Avarice's minions.
Right. We did just have a bit of a concert here.
Indeed, we did.
Honestly, at this point, if they show up and we can cut down a few, I think that would be more to our benefit.
That's true. Rolling 100.
Yeah, I did that wrong. I didn't do the 1D100. I've made that mistake before. Not this time, though.
Everyone has. That's okay.
As you exit the music hall, I would like you all to make perception checks.
You are both eyes.
Apparently a
Were we
lot.
followed by that sloppy thing with the teeth.
Okay, 19, 20, 17. Did Scales wish to roll perception as well?
Caleb, earlier when we were over at that big hole, we had to roll insight. I rolled a... What was the number?
Was it like 30?
34
Yeah, 34.
or something? So, on it? 33. I rolled 33 on my insight.
Yeah, that expertise that you got from that feat is crazy. So, 19, 20, and 17. You see out of the corner of your eye what appears to be a group of human-like individuals that are simply just walking around the city. You can see them kind of like glancing around. they seem slightly carefree, more so than you would think. As if they don't really care what's going on around them. As they kind of like are they stop suddenly. As you see them, do you want to be trying stealthy at all, or?
Initiate sneak.
Is Hawks capable of being stealthy from the perspective of where they are?
Technically, he could if he hides behind the doorway, because he is
Okay.
quite big. But
So-
the
Okay.
music hall can act as cover in that case if he hides in the doorway.
Just imagine being snuck up on by Hawk.
I do have disadvantage on stealth because I'm in full plate and it's not special full plate.
Ah, that's why you have disadvantage on stealth.
Hmm. So go ahead and everyone roll stealth.
You know what? I'm going to use my inspiration die for that to roll
I
it
am
one more
too.
time.
Fair enough.
I might as well.
There we go.
17.
Wow.
Look, Hawks and I rolled 666, and then we used our inspiration, and then Skanuk, me, and him all rolled 17.
17. 17. 17. The number of the kobold. What?
I broke the chain.
What are you saying?
I know, it's okay.
Yeah.
We're still close,
Oh,
though.
well.
Like 2 away.
Yep.
It still counts.
It's okay.
So yeah, you all kind of duck back in the music hall. And you see these individuals. You now get a better look at them as they approach. They're wearing these long red robes. They're wearing the same outfits that you had seen those corpses near the observatory wearing. They all have that necklace, the one that is crafted to look like a black sword. It is made completely out of charlatan on the main amulet necklace itself. But it is kind of like the actual chain, quote unquote, is actually like a thin rope that is tied around and like carved into like a little hole where like the hilt would be on the sword.
Hey, Scales, you got the sleep spell?
I do, but it'll probably only affect one of them, if that.
Looking at something real quick.
I mean, they'd have to be really weak in order to affect multiple.
I had the feeling that Avarice came down with just a bunch of people from the town. I don't know if she got like some people who were, I don't know, more trained.
To be fair, there might still be people from the town, but they're dressed up to look fancy. Villain will kind of snidely say. Or they could be powerful cultists. Who can tell, really? We won't know unless we fight them. But hold on, whoosh! They're speaking. You'll actually now begin to hear like a conversation taking place between them. Ah, this is a strange experience, isn't it? This isn't what we expected at all. Ah, yes, quite. You notice as well that they, like, from the hoods that they seem to be having, these carved masks that kind of like obscure their faces. These masks all kind of look very much like a fiend's face, but where like it seems to like have a carved mustache and goatee combo, which is interesting, strange. And the masks have a bluish tinge to them. Yes, a female voice will appear out of one of the masks. Definitely not what we expected. Thankfully, we don't see any of those goons about. Oh, what? Velin and her kobold stooges? Don't make me laugh. Sure, they'd say they've killed a god. I will believe it if I see it. Oh, wait. I don't think they can. Well, it's not like they can hurt us as we are right now. So, yes, as long as we continue doing what we're doing and we stay concentrating, it should be fine. Yes. It will be a nasty surprise for them if they try and attack us, that's for sure. I'd like to see them try. The look on their faces would be priceless. What did Avarice tell us to do again? Well, we're trying to search for the towers, for certain, but those kobolds have certainly muddled with us. We're missing two so far of the passages. Not sure if we can repair them. It is unfortunate. Maybe we can beat it out of them. We can try. Well, let's continue looking for now. Maybe there's something over here. I got to say, this feeling is enlightening. Yes, it almost feels like I'm completely weightless. And they say as they're, like, walking away.
I figure out what they're talking about, what defense they've got going. It's not just sanctuary, is it?
They don't appear to have anything. I would say roll an investigation check for me.
Not the advantage. 27.
A 27 is quite good here. Let me double check this. Yeah, I think a 27 is gonna... Yeah, that's what I thought. You notice as they're walking, their feet go through bits and pieces of the rubble as if they were projection images. But they're walking and talking as any person would, seem to speak and hear each other as any person would, but their bodies are just completely walking through the rubble. And then it clicks for you. They're not actually there. They're illusions.
Interesting.
Yeah. The direction they start walking towards appears to be the Hall of Transmutation. The Tower of Transmutation, rather.
Which direction did they come from?
It seemed like they came from a north easterly direction.
Huh. Huh. Well, I guess there's decent odds that the real them is that way.
I mean, they're talking about a nasty surprise. Imagine us stumbling across their actual forms.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the nasty surprise is that they're not actually here. So we could attack them away.
Presumably, they couldn't attack us either, though, right?
Yeah. Stations that way. So they're going. Okay, so they came from. So they didn't come from the Tower of Transportation.
No, it seems like a more easterly direction than north, I'll say. But
I see. Okay. Well, we were kind of planning to go that way anyway, though.
Let's go south and then north. Like this.
what, like a zigzag almost?
Around the music hall instead of towards transmutation to the south.
Oops.
Unless you do want to, like, confront him right now.
I mean, do I need to chop down another tower?
As long as I get to loot it first.
I think we already looted that one.
Yeah, I don't really. Oh. I was thinking, yeah, of like. I was thinking of going in the direction that they had come from to see if we can't stumble over them. And, you know.
We should look shocked and surprised when we see him.
Right.
I like that plan. Perhaps we can, if we do find their bodies, if they're concentrating on some sort of illusion, they might not be able to actually see us. I'm curious.
Is
Oh,
there any way
that-
we could
that's
divine? Is there any way we could divine their actual location?
Be very thorough in your investigation. No, but a serious answer. Depends if you have some sort of magic that allows you to sense the presence of nearby creatures.
If I think Scales was talking about having a spell, but he needed some components for it. Does anybody have anything that might help him with that?
Well, that depends. What were the
What were those
components necessary?
components?
What spell was that exactly?
This is the True Seeing spell. Components are an ointment worth 25 gold points, made primarily of mushroom powder, saffron, and fat.
Well, I'm sure one of us has mushrooms on us somewhere. We've been in the cave for a long time.
I was gonna say I've still got some mushroom juice, Dwergar liquor. So maybe there's a way of turning that into it.
That's possible, but I'm
I
still
have-
short of the saffron.
I have a few herbs here. Let me see what they are.
I've got an herbalism kit. Did I have? 1 second.
Sure. Go ahead and take a
I have
look.
some pretty expensive herbs here. I was saving them for the Hallow spell, but that takes some time to cast, and I don't think we'll get a chance to do it down here. I think saffron might be in here somewhere.
So yeah, I just have a generic herbalism kit.
Okay. I'd say... Meepo, roll for fun for me. Roll me a D100, and on a 50 or below, you might have some extra saffron you might be able to give to Scales. Ah! It turns out you may have had some foresight to buy some things in town, as well as expensive herbs. You find some extra saffron that you can give to Scales.
Well, here you go. Looks like it was tucked in underneath it. Didn't see it before. We got plenty of fat from all this lard and stuff we've been...
Mushroom booze.
Yeah, alright, so you got mushroom booze, you got the saffron.
Now I just need some fat.
I mean, don't we have like rations with some fat on them? Just scrape it off the edges of whatever jerky and stuff we got.
Is there any way Scanuck's mayo machine could
That'll work.
You know
put
what?
out some sort of like grease or fat we could use?
Doesn't mayo use fat?
You know what?
I mean,
I would totally let that
white.
work. That it would be a wider mayo to fat ratio, but you could still make it work.
Yeah, just give me a moment to tinker with this. I am.
Turning it on mayo mode.
Mayo to the max.
Yeah, it's more like finding the right key, because like it's like a large jug that has all these different stoppers on it in like weird angles. You just gotta find the right stopper. Yeah, so it takes you about maybe 6 seconds to be like, where was it? You find one that's for mayo.
I only ever really use the acid one for this.
It's weird. I never thought mayo would be such a useful feature to have on that, but I guess it is.
Neither did I.
Mayo, vinegar. I like the alchemy jug. I really do. It's fun.
It's very fun.
It's fun. It's kind of stupid. It's great.
It's amazing what you can do in certain circumstances with it. But yeah, you can produce enough mayo for the purposes. You get a little bit more mayo than fat for this scale, so you may just get some residue left over, but it would be passable.
All right. Let's give this one a shot, I guess.
Okay. So as you cast this spell, so you get to see things as they actually are. Your eyes become attuned to everything around you, and you see little shapes and figures swirling around. Yeah, at first you kind of blink your eyes and you think, oh, it's those little squiggles in your eye you sometimes get. But no, squiggles turn out to be actual things that are swimming around in the ethereal plane. All different manner of terrible spirits and ghosts, all just swirling around this area. What's more, Scales, you see, it's about, up to a range of 120 feet. So let's see how far you're gonna. Actually, it's farther than I thought. Let's see. Let me roll something fun here. 77. Okay. There's a couple things that you notice as well. You see this strange sort of wispy smoke that seems to be sort of swirling like a miasma, a heavy cloud along the city. And as you sort of notice it, your bodies all begin to feel a little bit heavy. Not the fact that you noticed it, but that you suddenly realize it's been a decent amount of time. And I need you all to roll Constitution saving throws against the Arcane Blade. Roll for Muerte and Villain. Okay, Muerte's good. Villain's also good.
The lowest was a 16.
The lowest was in fact 16. Now let me double check something. Just to make sure.
See 4 kobolds dab in unison.
Indeed. You'll watch as the swirling purplish miasma Scales all at once begins to descend upon your comrades, and they are unaware of what is transpiring around them. But seems like whatever happens seems to fend off the smoke, and almost like a mosquito repellent. It just seems to lose interest. It just seems to waft away. But there's a general sense that it is still hanging around the air.
Like bad smell.
What you looking at, Scales? What you seeing?
It's like this murky cloud of vile energy. It's just kind of hanging over the entire city.
Oh, I wonder if that's the curse. That'll be the mail.
Just
The Curse of the Mayo?
We're talking about something else. Yeah, there. I mean,
Well,
Anyway, it doesn't look like it's doing anything at the moment. But that's about all I see right now.
okay. Shall we go after the ruffians then?
Seems to be the
Yes.
best
Might as
course
well.
of action, yes. So you're following them, or you're going the direction that they came from?
I would suggest going the direction they came from. If they're like
I
projecting
agree.
themselves somehow.
Very well. In that case, you follow the direction that they came from. And for all intents and purposes, Meepo, you turn invisible. Funny that you can still see them, though, Scales, I believe.
Yep.
Indeed. So you see a faint, wispy, shadowy outline of Meepo that is trailing along the rest of you. In addition, Scales, I'd like you to make a perception check. Only you make this one. 20. Out of the corner of your eye, you see, I would say, how would I describe this? It's like there is this general sense of unease. It's a weird way to describe it, but as you're heading towards a specific direction, as you're heading towards the direction that they came from, it gets stronger, and it seems like the miasma seems to be getting both stronger and weaker as you head along this direction. With your perception check, it feels like the closer you got to this direction, the thicker the miasma became. But when you went towards this direction, it got slightly weaker. So the more northward you went, the thicker it got. The more eastward you went, the less thick it got. It got thinner, essentially. It is a bit strange. It's difficult to put it together, but it is something that you noticed.
Considering that the miasma seemed to seek us out and try and affect us, could we take that as a sign that there's more things in that direction for it to attempt to affect? Question mark?
You don't think so. I would say Scales, when he was looking at it, Scales, you got the impression it was more seeking out anything that was living. That was the impression that Scales got. It didn't seem to be like any sort of like general like number of creatures nearby. It just seemed to seek out living creatures. And when it attacked you, it wasn't the entirety of the cloud. It was like just like a centered sort of bit of the miasma around you all. This seems to be a general sort of condensation of the miasma towards the northern direction. If that makes sense.
Maybe that's the source?
Yes, seemingly more like it. Yes, it would be a. Sorry, my words. It would seemingly be that there may be a source of some kind, and the thicker it is, the closer you are to that source.
Maybe we could turn it off then.
that might be nice. Change of plans?
Usually. Um, if I mean, if it's north, wouldn't it then be like in the spire somewhere?
That's what it seemed to be at first, but then you thought about it. It seems to be more this direction.
Maybe it's coming from the obelisk. It is broken. Maybe breaking the obelisk caused the curse?
Maybe. Well, I'm okay with going to look at that in that case. I mean, like,
You are quite close to the Hall of Weightless Wonder, we'll call it.
true.
It is just a hop, skip it away, no more than a minute away. With
Yeah, it's just like it's a 6th-level spell slot that runs out in an hour. Is my like I see why we might want to skip that for the moment. What do you guys think?
I say we come back to it afterwards.
So in that case, you head towards the Hall of Weightless Wonder. It seems to be the direction, you're now sure of it, of where the cultists were walking from. Getting a better look at it now. 4 basalt columns seem to support that huge mirrored dome, which reflects, you can see now, all of Yithrin's tallest spires and the cavernous, vast stalactites of this space. You can see, as well, and you would see as well, Scales. Actually, no, you specifically. Everyone, so what everyone but Scales would see. It's good. Sorry, this is, I'm having trouble with words here. What everyone sees is that there appears to be a sort of column underneath this sort of dome. What Scales would see in this instance is a sort of gravitational force that is pulling and pushing things upward and downward from underneath this place. Almost like a tractor beam, if you will.
This
Yeah, you guys are right here, I'd say. Even though it's actually no, it's technically here.
Sounds kind of fun.
So,
Assuming we don't run into a bunch of cultists there.
Guess we do a quick run through and then get on our way.
makes sense. In we go.
all right. As you head towards the central column in the center, you feel yourselves being, one by one, lifted upward, lifting into the vast, voluminous space of this hall, to which you can see the interior of this dome is illuminated by a swirling miasma of colors. When I say miasma, though, it is not similar to the miasma that Scales had seen outside. It's simply the wording that is chosen here. You will see frozen human figures floating in the air, cross-legged and serene, which you recognize, Skanak, as some of the noble-looking mages that you had seen in your vision. Maybe a bit older than you had seen them there, but you do recognize them. They're almost perfectly preserved, in almost icy-like stasis. You also see 5 cross-legged cultists who are sort of just floating in there, and occasionally they seem to walk as if floating on midair, and their bodies just sort of walk around in midair all throughout the inner parts of the chamber where their eyes are closed. You can see, though, that their mouths, and they continue to speak, though, as if they're speaking amongst each other. But no sound comes out of their mouths.
I was about to ask if they were still talking shit.
They probably are, even though you can't hear
It's
them.
the attitude of someone.
It's the posture. It's their body language, clearly.
Oh, then this gets to be fun then.
Also, I want to note, as you all now get inside the interior of the tower, you all can fly. You gain a flying speed of 30 feet and can hover when you're in this tower.
Does Scales see anything different about these cultists?
I will say, what Scales will see is that there is an icy sort of chill, an icy rime, if you will, that is on their backs, in the shape of what appears to be like an icy hand gripping their shoulders. As well, you see the amulets, those black swords made out of chatelaine around their necks, also seems to exude a very dark energy.
Is that gonna be like armor of Pegasus or something?
Yeah, you don't... difficult to say. You don't think so. It doesn't seem to appear to be any spell that you can tell. I would say, Scales, since he's the only one that can see it, Scales, you can roll a religion check for me. 14? At your best guess, you have an inkling suspicion that whatever mark that might be along their back and shoulders is some sort of connection between them and their patron, most likely Levistus. And the fact that you have true seeing seems that looks like you might actually be able to see a mark of this connection that is normally unable to be seen. Other than that, though, these are not illusions. These are the flesh and blood people that were projecting their images outward.
Oh, you were seeing these guys walking around.
Mm-hmm.
And they aren't actually out there, they're still in here.
Yep.
Okay. Well, time to get busy. I'm still invisible.
Yeah, okay, you emboldening bond. I'm gonna say there's no way they're gonna be able to detect that you're there. So I'm just gonna ask you straight up, how do you deal with them?
I'm gonna activate my Giant's Might and get as close as I can to a couple of them, and just be ready to beat the snot out of them in like a single round of them not being able to do anything about me.
Okay.
But I'm gonna wait for everyone else's like signal to like jump on them and smash them, so that we're not like alerting them beforehand by attacking.
Right. Can we like herd them? Can we herd them into a single spot? No, that's probably not possible.
I need to double check something. I need to double check a specific. Let me see here.
How big is the room?
The room itself. Let me double check that actually.
Is there like a map of this room that we can go to see?
There is actually not a map of this room.
Ah,
If you look inside, though, it's around, I'd say, maybe like a 60-foot radius. No, sorry, 60-foot diameter. to this dome. But I need to double check the specifics of this particular effect. Space. Blind and deaf in regard to. Okay, interesting. I will say, if you're going to attempt to herd them, how do you plan on doing so?
Well, let's see. I don't know. That's really all that practical, honestly. I was just raising the idea.
Yeah, they're not too far apart. They are relatively like close to each other. You get the sense that they're in the same position they are out there. So they're like relatively like within like 5 feet of each other, all of them.
Oh.
So what
So
Hawks
he's
is doing is like
perfectly
Hawks is like right next to all of them essentially with his big size, so he could just attack all of them at once in one round, if need be.
How do you think these guys feel about cold?
They're probably immune or resistant to it.
Yeah, considering who their patron is.
Sure.
But
Fire
fire?
it is.
Maybe. Yeah, shadow works.
Yeah, I don't have Sickling Radiance. I should change that. I should get Sickling Radiance, but I don't have it on hand.
Yeah, Scales does.
Ah. Alright. we can circle them.
Well, if a whole bunch of AoE stuff is going to happen, then I'll back off and move in if any of them survive.
Alright, so Hawks backs off for a moment. So what's gonna happen?
Are we the only exit out of this room?
Currently, yes.
Oh, okay.
There's only one way out, one way in.
Most excellent. So they literally can't push past us to get out of this. So this'll hurt.
Correct.
Ooh, I wonder if I should use Web instead.
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Web plus sickening radiance is
That sounds like a meme, yes. What?
Do it.
This is high level rude.
This is us, like,
Alright.
hearing them talking shit and getting mean.
You can imagine them all doing like the that one laugh, like oh, that like all that laugh like in their own time, like away, like haha, stupid kobolds, haha. And then
Wait, does anyone else feel sticky?
what's that strange sensation? I'm gonna roll this on the side here. No. So you'll watch Canuck as all of them get as they're all like kind of like floating around like next to each other. Suddenly they stop and you see for a moment, kind of like they like furrow their brows, like, oh, what's going on? As like their voices, they can suddenly talk now. The illusion isn't. I can't project myself out anymore. I can't seem to move the illusion. Maybe there's something obstructing us in the. And then they open their eyes, and then the sickening radiance happens. And they all at once go, oh.
The walls have ears, darlings.
Man, that's yeah. With their stat block and these rolls, that's failures from on all counts. So I'm gonna need that 4d10 radiant damage.
Spicy.
Yeah, quite spicy
This
indeed.
is-
As they all just scream
This
at
is
once,
bullying.
no! And then they all just get blasted by a wave of radiance, and as they shriek in horror, all their bodies freeze in place and they perish as they are locked in a thick coating of ice. And you'll see Scales. You would still have True Saying on. You would see that icy grip on their back clenches, and you'll see some force of light being ripped out from the body, and then that light gets dragged to the ground and then disappears. And they are all dead. All frozen sculptures of ice.
And this is why we don't make deals with devils.
Exactly.
Lesson learned.
So, Villain will kind of pipe up. Now that they're not a threat anymore, why don't
Were
we...
they ever?
Touché. But to finish what I was about to say, we could make use of this, like they did.
Kind of feel like when you say we could make use of this like they did, we're setting ourselves up for a real bad case of, like, being hoisted by our own petards.
Ah, you know what? It's an excellent point.
I mean, we
Because
could
I
leave a
don't
guard.
want that happening to me while I'm not able to pay attention.
Yeah, that was terrifying.
Another good point. But you
But I
can
mean-
at least weigh the benefits of being able to project your image out of here without actually being in danger yourself.
We could leave a guard.
Also true.
Or take turns projecting our images.
Oh,
But I would suggest we make use of Scale's spell while we have it.
yeah. Let's maybe pop out and see if we can't find the source of strangeness and come back.
That sounds like a good plan.
Very well. In that case, then, you all are heading towards what you believe to be the source of the miasma, leaving the frozen bodies hovering in midair in the tower, in this hall of weightless wonder. You quickly, with time hopefully on your side, will begin to head out this way. And then you can see your suspicions might be correct. As you head towards the direction of the obelisk, the miasmic force gets thicker and thicker. And yet, you yourselves don't feel any different as you're heading this direction. Whatever force this is, it completely masks its presence entirely, save for those who can see with sight beyond sight. But you come to the base of this 60-foot-tall obelisk of black stone. You can feel your heart skip a beat. Meepo. It was not intentional. As you look upon this, a thin crack has formed on one side, stretching from the obelisk's base to its middle. And what's more, the area around the obelisk seems to have damaged the city in some way. There are cracks filled with a glowing orange-yellow light. It seemed to almost... It exudes this strange, I wouldn't quite say radiant glow. It's fiery, not unlike lava. It's as if everything around it seems to be breaking down into its base primal components. I have no really other way to say it. It's as if reality itself is breaking down around this thing.
Concerning.
That... I don't like that.
Yeah, I've been telling you. I don't like this thing.
That is the bad mojo.
That is
That is
as you would say, extremely bad mojo.
I mean, like, we knew it was bad because you told us, but, like...
I'm telling you, if the gods are scared of something, it's got to be the worst kind of thing, and that's kind of what I'm looking at.
And
Yeah.
we can now see why the Frost Maiden entombed this city in ice, I believe. It's strange.
Okay, well, she should have done a better job of it. And,
Well,
like,
we kind of are responsible for the rest of it. Since-
still her fault.
Well, I mean, to be fair, she at least... Yeah, nothing really got in here that we knew of. So at least it did... Whatever barrier she put up did its job. Still,
the drow were in here.
that is true, but I'm curious if they didn't pop in after the barrier was released.
Possible.
The bodies that we found were fresh. And the drow that we met were fresh until we killed them. That's neither here nor there.
I don't know. I feel like their overall aesthetic was kind of, you know. Oh, you mean like alive? Yeah, no.
Yes. And trust me, I know life or death. And she kind of like looks towards her minion. It's kind of my thing. But in either case, I think we get a better sense of why in fact what you said was true, but why the gods are afraid of whatever this is. As you're looking at the obelisk,
To where we're placing the blame and add blame onto two other individuals, the two gods who got up and fought Arl back whenever that started. Those two started this in earnest because they're the ones that broke the peace.
it is something to think about. Scales, as you're gazing upon the obelisk, let me see here. As you're gazing upon the obelisk, Scales, you notice that where the crack is, you see tiny, thin threads of this wispy, ethereal energy, almost like a spider's web, all seemingly connected to that crack. And much like the area and terrain around the obelisk that is cracking apart at the seams, this spectral energy also seems to almost fracture outward like a shattered mirror, like a spider's web fracture, just echoing outward unto eternity almost, and then eventually disappearing out of the range of your true sight. Go ahead and roll an Arcana or History check for me, Scales. Six. You're not sure what this is, but as you notice this spiderweb crack, you notice that the miasma almost seems to be coming from where the webbing meets the crack in the obelisk. This weave of spectral threads, this pure arcane energy, almost like seeping outward, like blood almost, and turning into that spectral, spiderweb-like pattern of thread. Whatever happened with this obelisk is not just destroying the material and physical. It seems to also be destroying what lies on other planes as well. So the damage is much more than you realized.
like that.
We're not obligated to try and fix this, right? Like, it's been buried here for how many millennia? We don't, like, need to... Do we... Is this responsibility?
I think we're at least obligated to not make it worse and to keep things that we caused from making it worse. So we're responsible for keeping avarice away from it.
You will notice as well, Scales, it does not seem to be worsening. It seems to be in just a constant state. Seems to be in stasis, as it were. Nothing changing, nothing getting better or worse, it just is.
So if I were to hit it with like a forceful blade while I can see it, that'd be a bad idea.
You wouldn't know until you tried.
We could feed avarice to it. You could feed avarice to that thing in the pit.
Villain nods with approval. Yes, yeah. Very good plan. I approve. You'd have to catch her first. She is pretty slippery.
Slippery, like ice. Get it? Because that's like her whole theme with the whole Levistus stuff. That's the joke.
Yes. She kind of like... You think she could say something snide, but she just kind of just gives you a little golf clap. Whether that's worse or not is up to you.
Look, I tried resisting the urge to do this sort of, stuff since I got, my head fixed. But, it's become near and dear to me. I can't help myself anymore.
Fair enough. Also, I should have taken the turnover off a long while ago. It's my fault. As it stands, though, from what Scales might be seeing, from what he's described... Actually, no, I should speak for you. Would you be describing what you're seeing, Scales?
Yes, I would have described the spider webs coming from the obelisk's cracks.
Okay. Thought I'd clarify that. From what he's describing, then... It's not getting worse. It's not getting better. Then, at least... It should be fine on its own. You don't need to worry about that. We just... If I recall, the only way to activate the obelisk was by using a staff of power. From the notes, it seemed to be one that was attuned to Areolathus himself. And the only place I could think of where that would be... her voice trails up and she gazes back towards the central spire. Is in there. So, we could either go to the base over here, or over here.
You think maybe we could destroy the Staff of Power in the Abjuration Tower?
Most likely we could, yes. That is what the anvil was created for, was to destroy magical objects. Yes, it would definitely be doable.
What if we took the obelisk and dragged it all the way to that tower?
She looks towards you, looks towards the obelisk, looks towards the cracks. I would not recommend that.
I wouldn't either, but I'm kind of curious about what would happen. I'm not saying I'm planning on trying it, not by a long shot. You'd have to be nuts, and I ain't anymore.
Are you, though?
Yeah, it's 50-50. Might be.
She shrugs. Well.
Okay, but seriously, I do think getting rid of the staff is the best chance we got. Which means we have to go into the tower, which means we have to complete the octad, which means we have to... Ooh, it's a big list of stuff.
A very big list indeed. Murty will kind of pipe up after being quiet for a while. This is far beyond me. All of this is... I never imagined our journeys would take us to something like this.
Do we know what the lich is? What's keeping the lich here?
You don't, no, but most likely it's just his phylactery was here at some point, and not only that, you imagine as well that the reason he's still here as well, given his mental state, is most likely because his memories have deteriorated, and plus the fact the barrier was up around the glacier, there was no chance of escape.
We don't know what his phylactery looks like or where it is.
No.
Does that even matter for a lich that's degraded as much as he has?
I don't know.
And to my knowledge, I don't even think he could return to his natural state if he could feed his phylactery.
But I mean, does getting rid of his phylactery get rid of him? Or do we just have to beat him up?
That's a good question. Double check that. As she ponders that, go ahead and roll perception checks, everyone.
Nico perceives.
She sure does. That. So does Canuck.
All right. Okay. You swore that you heard fluttering. And the scales, at the very tail end, maybe around 5 or so minutes left of your true seeing, you see an invisible shadowy shape of an outline of an invisible gargoyle flying away from your location.
After quickly.
How far is he?
He is around, I would say, he's quite a distance away before, so right now he's around, I would say, 70 feet away.
Yeah, we need to try and catch him and kill him.
Did we know the gargoyles' names?
You knew one of them's name was Gurgle.
I feel like we heard both of them.
Actually, no, you might have heard both of them, actually. It would be Gargle and Gurgle. Yeah, actually, you would have known that, yes. Gargle and Gurgle.
So imaginative.
Extremely.
So we're going after them. Going after him, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I'm already moving that direction.
Yeah.
That, I heard the flapping in.
If I were to run that way and then cast command on it,
I would let you attempt it. What's the range on command?
60 feet.
60 feet?
So as long as I ran towards it,
Let me see here. Let me double check the speed of a gargoyle.
and if I can action dash and bonus action cast command.
That is true. Go ahead and roll a dexterity check for me. Just a general dexterity. Eight? Okay, you beat him by 1. Go ahead and cast command. I'll roll a wisdom saving throw for the gargoyle. What is your command, I will ask?
Approach. Oof.
That is unfortunate. That was a really good call, though. As the gargoyle begins to fly away, and with his 60-foot fly speed, dashing away.
Anybody have any?
Like, you know,
Like,
we were all following him before he started dashing. I would
You
probably
were,
also
so
cast web
if you
on
have
him.
if you have ranged options.
Well, he's
yeah.
invisible too, so
Okay. So
I
webbing.
don't know that I have anything to contribute to that, honestly. Well, I have something I can contribute to that now that I'm thinking about it, because this is a pretty large roof, isn't it?
It's a giant voluminous cavern that you're walking around.
So is it voluminous enough to have weather effects?
Yes. So
All right. Well, my axe can do this once per. Well, that's not what it was supposed to do. This once per day.
yeah, so I'm rolling it against the webbing. So let's make a dex save against that. That is a failure
You will
against the
drop.
webbing. Well, let's see. He gets stuck in the webbing.
He's like a fly.
Which means if he's restrained by the webbing, he has disadvantage on the dexterity save for the call lightning.
Is he
If it's
concentrating
restrained,
on
doesn't that mean its movement is 0?
Movement is 0.
Okay, then it should fall.
But it's restrained in the webbing. It's stuck in place in the webbing.
Yeah, but unless the webbing is anchored to something, it also falls.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Yes.
If the webbing's not anchored to something, it collapses.
Oh, I missed that part about webbing. So yes, it does in fact fall. It was quite high up.
Oh, bludgeoning damage.
Bonk.
You hear a resounding crack as the as you don't see him, but you hear just a resounding roaring and cursing in a different language. Let me see. Does the webbing disappear after it falls, or?
No, it still stays there. It's
Just-
still like wrapped around him. It's just not like it doesn't become a big 3-dimensional shape if it's not anchoring to stuff.
It's not rough
Gotcha.
terrain.
Okay. I forgot about that stipulation for web. I apologize. Okay, thank you for the clarification.
No problem.
So
Okay.
it does technically, if it's not stuck to anything, it does have a condition that makes it end, but that end is the start of your next turn. So it'll still last until Skinnock's next turn, even though it's not anchored on something.
Gotcha. Okay, that's fine though. So let's be a save at disadvantage for the lightning. So that's 2 with disadvantage.
So Hawks will conjure the big lightning bolt and crack. And so it's 3d10 lightning on a failed save. So I've already rolled the 18 up there, I think. So, yep. Also, technically, as long as I'm concentrating on this for 10 minutes, I can just keep lightning. Yeah, okay. This is fun.
How far away is he?
He's like 120 feet away at this point.
But
you guys are moving closer. So do we get within 90 feet?
I used my dash, I'd be 80, so I'd be 40 feet away, and that's not close enough yet to do what I want to do.
Good point. I need to double check invisibility for this.
Thankfully for the lightning, I just have to pick a spot on the ground.
He is still technically invisible, but you get a general sense of where he is because you still see the webbing. So you get a general idea. Spell
Is he
ends for a target.
concentrating on the invisibility?
He's not concentrating on it. Someone else is. Gargoyle can't cast.
Could be a special one.
Did you already roll the damage for the call lightning?
Yes, 18. I accidentally rolled it before I posted the text for
Oh,
the
I
lightning.
see. Oh, that's right, you did. Okay, so that's with 35, and then plus. Just doing a little head math here because I don't have a token. Carry that number. Oh yeah.
53.
53. won over what she needed to take him down. You you see a gargoyle-shaped outline in the webbing. And it suddenly, I think, yeah, it's still invisible, but there's a gargoyle-shaped chart outline in the webbing. And there's just smoke lines coming from there.
Did we know if they could communicate telepathically or not?
You did know they could do that.
I wonder if they were doing it at that time.
We need to just assume that we need to kill Avarice first and not give her a chance to do anything.
Right.
If she can do anything, remember she can't go inside the tower because she doesn't have the arcane octave.
The biggest problem is now Levistus knows about this place.
And with that revelation, I would like you to roll history checks, everyone, to why that might be important.
History or religion?
Sorry, if you roll history, you could roll religion instead if that bonus was higher. My apologies.
Natural 20 says his history was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Well, with the 29 natural 20 and the 25 religion, you think back to myths and legends about the Nine Hells. Of a spat between Asmodeus and Levistus himself. Levistus committed such a great crime as to be entrapped by Asmodeus in a tomb of ice for all time. It was never said when such an event occurred, however. And you think to yourself, wait, if the device lets you go back in time and changes the world along with it, with its faulty nature as of now, oh no, Levistus might want to remain free and act as if such an event never occurred in the first place.
Hey.
Now it's our responsibility.
Yeah. Keeps getting worse.
Well, we still just have to destroy the staff then, right? Because it can't be activated without the staff.
That is correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
I guess so.
And getting rid of Avarice would help too. But the thing is, there's other staffs probably that Vistus
We
could
really
send
should
to people.
We really should have just focused on Avarice and done her in immediately instead of playing around with it.
Keep in mind, though, you all have done great work in removing evidence of the arcane octet. So remember, with that in mind, she can't get into the tower.
I mean, yes, but we also could have just killed her.
That's also true.
I think we were working with the assumption that we didn't know quite where she stood yet. And
No, we knew
we knew it was bad, but I don't think we've kind of until now had the depth of just quite how bad.
Right, that's true.
This is quickly becoming out of control. Then we'll kind of look towards the spire again. I still think our chances are safe, but I would like to hurry before she sets up an ambush for us. Although I still think we have enough power to collectively kick her and her followers' collective behinds. But haste does not make for waste. Should we hurry?
Yeah, let's hurry.
So, to the Mythala or the Central Spire? I know I've asked this before, but which should we go to first?
I think that we should. I think that we should try to find her directly rather than do the ritual and like whether that collapses the defense or whatever. We should not do that. Play around with that. We should just deal with her first before anything else.
I agree.
Agreed.
And I don't know, like, are we in a position to do that with our current like resources and stuff?
Hawks is at full health. He's used his Stone Rune, in Storm Rune, and Indomitable, but otherwise has his entire,
I've used
other
Embolden
suite
and
of
Bond up,
things.
in a couple of high-level spells, but I'm pretty fresh otherwise.
I have no second or third level spell slots.
Hmm.
I'm not sure what happened to them all, but how about you, Skills?
I am short 1/4 and 1/5 and 1/1, and I don't have any 6th.
Well, I guess I can burn a use of the spell refueling ring to get a third level spell slot, and I can make a cannon and still do pretty well with cantrips and so on.
Well, maybe we ought to take a rest first.
As for myself, I am missing most of my third level slots. Still have my fourth. I have been pretty conservative, otherwise I have most everything else.
Okay, well, let's refresh then and have it be our next day's mission to put a boot on her neck and get her out of the picture.
This I very much agree with. Morty will give a cold glare towards the central
We-
spire. You're going to say something, Meepo.
We should either get out of the city or at least get away from the obelisk. I don't
Back
wanna
to the
get near
land
this.
bridge, or the ice bridge.
Alright. Well then we'll
Hit me with that fly juice.
Coming right up. Boop, 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 boop. You don't see it on the map, but he is in fact Gigahawks. Right. As you make your way down that way, who are you casting Sending on, Meepo?
I'm casting Sending to Avarice.
Oh. Okay.
So, see you real soon.
There's no response immediately. But then you hear her voice. I'm very much looking forward to it. You've been a big
then-
help. And that's it.
The fake out is we never show up. We just leave her like sitting in ambush, like he, I'll get those kobolds, and we just do everything else while she sits there, twiddling her thumbs, waiting for us to show up. No, that is not what's going to happen. But it
She
would be
she
fun.
already knows we're gunning for her after we killed her gargoyle.
To be
There's
fair,
no-
there's 2 more unemployed gargoyles in the city at this point. That
Yeah, but they're probably tired of being employed.
fair enough.
They're on vacation.
Actually, why don't you roll perception checks now? I'm thinking about it.
Oh yeah, I sent it back. I sent something back to the penguin, back to the dryad.
You did. 5. 19. Okay. You don't see Kingsport the penguin. He has not waddled back. But you do see two gargoyles that are just hanging on the ice bridge, just chilling. They're just kind of there. You see them kind of like trying to like scraping at the ice a little bit, kind of like playing with the two icicles, like as if they're sword fighting. Then they see you both. They see you all again. Oh hi, hello. Didn't think I'd see you all again. Hello.
Hi there.
Yeah, we tried to go back to the plane of Earth, but it didn't really work out. Can't really find a good doorway around here. Everything's too mucked about in water and cold. It's not really our thing, yeah. So we're just chilling. Just till we figure out our next move. Ain't that right, buddy? Yeah, that's right. Don't mind us though. I mean, if this is a nice spot for you, nice and cool. So you just the gargoyle just taps the ground, a nice little flat spot. We'll get out of your hair.
If you want, you can hang out here.
Nah, well, maybe. Nah, it's getting a little cramped now. Too many people. Yeah, we liked it when it was just our thing, Now there's no too many people are into this spot. We're gonna find a different spot, one that only we can have.
All right.
Yeah, don't mind us. We're just gonna walk around this way. They kind of like awkwardly sidestep the lot of you and just start walking back into the city.
If you go into those ice caves, somewhere in there's a room with a big metal head. That would be a cool hangout spot.
Really? They like their heads like turn like almost 180 degrees back in your direction.
I mean, just think about how cool you'd look if someone came around the corner and saw you two chilling on a big metal head.
Roll a persuasion check with advantage.
See, I understand these things.
9.
Apparently not.
Well, let's see. That does sound pretty cool. What about that area over there? And they kind of point towards the menagerie. We haven't been there in a while. Master never took us. You know what? Let's go over there. And they start flying out towards the menagerie.
No offense to your fish rat Meepo, but I still think Big Metal Head is cooler.
Trickle will look at you with disdain, Hawks, and fold his tiny little rat arms, tapping his
Poor-
little rat foot against the bowl.
I'm going to pour some water into the bowl while we're still.
He will shake his iridescent scales and be appeased for the moment. Me! Kind of nodding his head as if, yes, this is good. That is an ostentatious and arrogant rat that you have there. We should kill it before it usurps us. Let me eat it.
I think it's gonna usurp anything. I think it just wants to be hampered.
I don't trust it. It's too crafty. Skanak, are you with me on this one?
I am.
See it as thou two of us.
I'm gonna have it awakened.
I strongly advise against that. It will invite doom upon all the world. If you think it was a problem with me, no. This will be 10 times worse. 1,000 times worse, even. I'm not
Yeah, I'm
exaggerating.
gonna have it awakened.
You will see... roll an insight check on Muerte. There's a hint of jealousy in Muerte's voice and body language.
Oh no, don't be like that.
Like what? Playing dumb, she is.
Nothing could replace our murder bird.
Exactly. Do not, and you will not forget it. Now,
No, I won't.
let us go to sleep. I'm tired of this conversation.
I don't think the fish rat has any hope of replacing you.
Me. Trickle will
Are-
fold their rat claws into each other and lean back in the bowl.
Lovely.
Are we getting in the huts?
It seems to be.
Oh,
Is there anything you wish to do before you take a long rest?
no.
No?
I don't think so.
I might
Okay.
want to use one more sending. Let me double check.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Probably to Rienach.
Rena, okay. What will you say to her?
There are several major problems down here. We're all alive. Guard the entrance, if possible.
There's a moment's pause. Ah, it's good to hear your voice, little Meepo. If that's what you've been wanting me to do for you, I'll gladly do it. I'll be there. You can count on me. And the message ends. And with that, you all will drift off to a peaceful, uninterrupted, uncorrupted sleep. You rest for a total of 8 hours. You gain everything back.
That long rest button is super nice.
Please.
Yeah, boy.
I am going to reset some spells though.
Indeed. And as we contemplate our next moves and take stock of everything that you have before your confrontation with Avarice, I'm going to end the session there for tonight.
Fair enough.
And with that, if you're watching, thank you so much. And I just now noticed a message in the chat. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to ignore you. I've been very, very distracted with the game. It's hard to DM and pay attention to the chat at the same time. But if you're watching, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And wherever you are, hope you have yourself a good night. But until then, see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.